Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, we are rolling. It is Wednesday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I am Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. For tonight's episode, we are going to be going through Eric Edholm's article on NFL.com, where he provides his post-draft power rankings. And so, I know we're a little ways past the draft at this point. But what we're going to do is we're going to break it off into four-team chunks, starting at the bottom, 29, 30, 31, 32, and just give you guys a couple of his highlights about why he's got these guys where and whether we like it or not. And then, as we move from chunk to chunk, we'll talk about whether teams needed to be pushed up or dropped down or any of that kind of fun stuff. Does that sound good to you there, James?
Sounds good to me.
All right, so 29 through 32, we've got Jacksonville at 29, the New York Giants at 30, New Orleans at 31, and Tennessee at 32. And without getting into some of the narrative that Edholm has provided here, I would have thought New Orleans without a quarterback would be 32. But, I mean, I guess we'll have to read some of this, skim it, and see, what's his logic for that, because it just seems like, man, Tennessee drafted, Cam Ward with the number one pick, right? So, I mean, wouldn't you trust him to win some games over Tyler Shog or Show, however you say his name?
So a couple things, just glancing at what he wrote. It looks like he's killing them for taking Cam Ward and passing on Abdul Carter and or Travis Hunter, or
Sure.
trading out of the number one pick. I think the issue is you have, with both teams, you can make the argument based on last year and what they did this off season, that they're the worst team coming into the season. But you have unknowns at quarterback for them, especially with Show, who was third? Was he a third rounder?
I'm not even 100% sure.
I want to say.
I guess my beef is that Tennessee had a pretty good defense last year, and they were good at running the ball. And it just seemed like, okay, if you're finally getting an upgrade at quarterback, which hypothetically you're doing by, taking the number one pick like that, they won 3 games last year. New Orleans is, and I know Derek Carr was hurt a lot, but, downgrading at quarterback, and they had 5 wins last year. They're downgrading with a new coach in a lot of change. It just seems to me like they're at the bottom starting their way up. Tennessee at least has some continuity with the coaching staff and, with the defense and with the running game. And it's just a matter of getting a rookie quarterback to gain some traction and, maybe boost that number from 3 or 5 or 6 or whatever, to show some progress.
Yeah. So Show was a second runner, not a third runner, but still, if you just go to the NFL.com draft grade on him, prospect grade 6.16, good backup with the potential to develop in a starter. According to their next gen stats, rated him at a 68 versus Cam Ward, who was graded at 6.39, will eventually be a B plus starter, but his next gen stats were 86.
Yeah. So different there. Yeah.
So there's a difference there. I think Cam Ward is more ready to step in to be a starter in the NFL than Show. And with a lot of everything that's been going on, well, see, that's the thing. Is like like when you read what he wrote, he says, with Derek Carr's status very much up in the air and the other QB options considered unknowns under Kellen Moore,
Yeah, Show's going to be the guy, right? And so
Cho's going to be the guy.
Kellen Moore must like him and think he can quarterback whisper him. I guess my concern is that it's like it's asking a lot of a second round pick to come in and get him at least five or more wins, and do better than last year. Um, and I'm not like a huge Cam Ward fan. I honestly I didn't like his scouting profile all that much. I know that a lot of people were hyped about him, but I didn't like any of the quarterbacks really in this year's draft. And I I don't know. I guess my thing with Show is that they don't have like a Saquon Barkley to carry the load. Kamara's great,
Mm-hmm.
but Kamaro's great if you got a quarterback that's savvy enough to get him the ball in space at the right places and right times. Kamara's not like a grinder that is going to like run it 25 times on the ground and take that pressure off the quarterback. And so um, I don't know. I mean that's just my first thing at looking at this where I'm kind of like, and then it's I guess like aside from that, I'm not a huge Giants fan, but man, it seems really low because the Giants were really good on defense again last year. It looked like they were finding their footing in the running game. And, between Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Jackson Dart, it just seems like one of those guys is going to do a little bit something for them. I'm just not like thrilled with them being that far down the board here. And I get it. They only won three
So
games last year, but I think they could
with
easily
the
win six
Giants,
or more this year.
with the Giants, I don't think they're that far below where I would put them. And I don't know if I can argue much about them being 20 or 30. Like I think if I look at the Giants, I look at the teams ahead of the Giants, I can pick one or two teams that I might rate going into the season below the Giants that are rated ahead of them.
Sure.
But I don't think it's that far off. There's a lot of unknown with the Giants. Yeah, they had a decent defense last year, but
Well,
does who's
let's just compare them to Jacksonville at 29. I would put New York above Jacksonville. It's kind of
see?
the same as the bottom two. I would flip them.
I wouldn't put New York ahead of Jacksonville.
I mean, Jacksonville won four games last year. New coach, new lots of stuff going on. It's similar to my argument with Tennessee and New Orleans. The Giants, they still got Dable. They still got that defense. They still got Tyrone Tracy. It's that now they just need to get a quarterback to get them production. And they brought in two seasoned veterans plus a rookie with upside. It seems to me like they're, like in a better position, a better version of what I was trying to say about Tennessee. Whereas, Jacksonville to me, I get it, they've got Trevor Lawrence, so they're hypothetically better than where New Orleans is at. But, Trevor Lawrence just always falls on his face every year. And now you got a new coaching staff, and it's not like the defense was even carrying them last year, and the running game wasn't even carrying them last year. I mean, it's like they don't really even have an identity anywhere on the team right now, which is, I guess, my only concern which is why I would put the Giants above Jacksonville.
Yeah, and I wouldn't because of the fact that with the coach, and I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
The dude from Tampa Bay.
Dude from Tampa Bay. Like,
Yeah.
like you look at what he's done with quarterbacks.
The quarterback whisperer. Yeah.
He seems like the quarterback whisperer. I think he's could get the best out of Trevor Lawrence. Last year, the Jags only won 4 games, but Trevor Lawrence missed 7. And they had other stuff going on there. They had like Peterson was lost. Like we were calling for Peterson to be fired after week 4.
Yeah, Liam Cohen. That's the guy we're thinking of.
Yeah. I don't know I'm more intrigued with Jacksonville, and I see a lot more upside with Jacksonville than the Giants because of it's intriguing to me how they're going to use Travis Hunter. At Colorado, he was able to play both sides. They're talking about
Yeah,
playing him both sides of the ball. And Brian Thomas Jr., even with poor quarterback play last year, looked
lit
great.
it up. Yeah,
So I think if you get somebody that can be a legitimate threat out on the opposite side of Thomas Jr., then you're putting defenses into a bind, which is putting Jacksonville up ahead of the Giants, who you don't really have a quarterback that can accurately throw the ball.
sure. I gotcha. Yeah, it looks like Russ might be washed. Jameis is he's a turnover machine, and then you got a rookie. So I got you. Okay. All right. So, um, well, why don't we move it up a chunk, man? So
All
we're
right.
going 25, 26, 27, 28. And so at 25, we've got New England, then Las Vegas, then the New York Jets, and then Cleveland. And so, man, I don't even know where to start with these. I mean, I guess,
So if we let's just start at the bottom with 28,
yeah.
Cleveland. I think this is way too high for Cleveland. Cleveland is one of the teams that when I scanned through that I said I would rate them the
So you
below the
drop them down
Giants.
a chunk.
I dropped them down a big chunk. There's
Yeah, into the
you
bottom
have
four is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I dropped them down into the bottom four. You have like
Yeah, and
what the
their
fuck are they
their
going to
their
do at
rookie
quarterback?
running back just got that domestic violence charge.
Yeah, but that domestic violence charge on that rookie running back, he was like a fourth or a fifth rounder.
Yeah, but he was supposed to be the Nick Chubb replacement, man. Ton of hype out of
Yeah,
Ohio State. He was, I mean, they were talking him up like he was going to be the bell cow this year. And now that's in jeopardy. You've got five quarterbacks, I'm sorry, five quarterbacks that I don't know what the hell they're doing with any of them, to be honest. Um, the defense could be good if the offense could be at least mediocre, but we've seen
hmm
like last year when the offense is just dog shit, the defense eventually just grinds down and loses a grip. And so, um, yeah, I could see them going down a notch. It's going to be what happens at quarterback, man. Kenny Pickett looked good in flashes when he did spot duty with Philly, but I can't trust that long term. And then, Flacco, we know, is already past his prime and just kind of, I mean, he'll come in if you need him, but he's not going to win games reliably. And then,
yeah, and
Shador and Dillon, I don't have any faith in either of those guys right now. So,
so Flacco and Pickett, like with Pickett, he does good when you have the offensive line that can give him the time, and you have a little bit of a running game. Flacco needs an offensive line to give him time. Flacco taking hit after hit after hit is just going to get him hurt.
yeah,
I think really what it boils down to is ultimately boils down to is are either Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders real NFL prospects, real potential starting quarterbacks. I don't see Pickett. Pickett's time is gone. We've seen in the past quarterbacks go to a new team, they get a fresh start, but this is Kenny Pickett's third team,
yeah.
and he was just drafted 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah, Pittsburgh gave up on him pretty quickly. And then, like I said, he did good as a backup for Philly and his little bit of spot duty here and there, but there was not enough of a sample size to say, oh, he can do it as a starter, I don't think.
Yeah, so he's going into his fifth year, and he's already on three teams. That right there should tell you everything you need to know about Kenny Pickett. He's not a legitimate starting quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
With Flacco, I mean, like I said, Flacco is what 85 now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and here's the thing. I think, I think Stefanski's a great coach, but I think he's in a really bad position. And
Yeah.
honestly, I think they should have blown it up at the end of last year. Because look at the position he's in now. It's not any better. It's not any clearer. They
Hmm.
only won 3 games last year. I don't see a path to the playoffs this year. And so it sucks. It sucks when you see a good coach in that spot. But yeah, I guess I'm with you. I could see them going to the bottom tier. Well, all right. So what do you think about the next three then? You got the Jets, the Patriots, and the Raiders. I kind of, man, I know Vrabel. We like him, and whatnot. But I my gut was telling me to put the Raiders on top of that chunk, and then have the Patriots, and then have the Jets.
I wouldn't even have the Patriots in this chunk. I would have them up a chunk. We
Sure.
know with Vrabel consistently gets more out of his players than any other coach does, and his team could be dog shit on paper and still win games. Look at what he did in Tennessee.
Yeah, he's an
He
overperformer. Yeah.
all his teams overperform. They made a lot of big splashes in free agency. They've brought in what seems like the right players. They just brought in a new left tackle. They got Travion Henderson at running back. Drake May looked like he was a legit starter last year. They're just gonna get better. The more they protect him, the more play calling is geared towards them. They're just going to get better. I think that I'm high on the Patriots, higher on the Patriots at least than he is. Maybe I'm not super high on them, but I think they can make
That's
a
yeah,
running for
that's
second in their division.
that's fine. So would you bump the Raiders up a tier as well, or do you think that they belong in this second to bottom somewhere? I like Pete Carroll.
I like Pete Carroll.
I
I
like that they
like
went out and they made the trade for Geno Smith. That's a reliable quarterback right off the bat. I mean, to me, I'm not like going to say they're running into the playoffs this year, but I could see them being a borderline 500 team in the first year with Pete Carroll, which I think puts them at least another tier up.
See, the reason I'm hesitant on that is because last year the Raiders defense was atrocious. And I don't see really big name. I see like one or two
Well, you
big
got Max
big moves into
Crosby.
the defense. Well,
Yeah,
they had Max Crosby. Max Crosby
correct.
is great,
Yep.
but I mean they didn't get
Yeah. What did they
the
do to
splash
juice
players
it
in
up?
defense.
Yeah.
They haven't
I
built the
think
defense
I
up.
think a
I
I
think
think
the
a more
offense.
reliable offense will help the
Mhm.
defense.
That's where I was just gonna go. I
Okay.
think the offense being more reliable, having a good running game, which is Pete Carroll's
Yep.
bread and butter, will increase how or will cover up how bad the defense might be this year. But I don't know if it covers it up enough to move them up a tier. I have to
Okay.
see it first.
Sure. I got you. And then what about the Jets? Where do you like where the Jets are at on this? I mean, to me, I think the Jets have a ton of potential, but with a first year head coach and the wild card at quarterback in Justin Fields, uh, I think I'm comfortable when I see them in this chunk of teams just because there's a lot of unknowns here. So
I so the only thing that keeps the Jets barely hanging on to this chunk of teams, and I could even make the argument that they should be down a chunk, is because of the fact that while I like Aaron Glenn and I think he can do great things there, I just think the situation with the Jets isn't the right situation. They've made moves and they've shored up. They signed Garrett Wilson and the other guy, Sauce Gardner,
Sauce
this week
Gardner. Yep.
to long-term
Massive
extensions,
deals. Yep.
which is great, and they're doing the right things. I don't think I think the Jets are maybe a
Do
4,
you
5, 6 win team this year,
do
even
you think
though
the
I
Garrett
like
Wilson
Aaron.
signing was right though? To me, man, I look at how disconnected he was from the offense last year with Aaron Rodgers, that they made it a point to go out and trade for Devontae Adams early in the year. And just the whole year, there was complaints about Rodgers and him not being able to get on the same page with the playbook. Uh, to me, I know that you're switching quarterbacks now, but you're also switching to a running quarterback and a run first offense. I would have made him prove out his worth as a real number one before I shelled out all that dough. Because to me, I'm starting to wonder if Garrett Wilson really is a wide receiver one in this league, or is he a wide receiver one in very specific setups? And I don't see how this setup is going to be any better for him than last year, other than the fact that Devontae Adams is gone.
So the thing with Garrett Wilson, the deal with Garrett Wilson, I love it for the Jets. I hate it for Garrett Wilson. I think he cost
Okay.
himself $10 million a year by signing the deal early. If they would
So
have made
you
him
think
play
he
out,
so you think he took yeah, so you think he took a discount to stay with the Jets
I
longer
think,
term.
yeah. And I think that the problems with the disconnect between Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers last year was I put that place that all on Rodgers. Rodgers does that. Rodgers goes into these places. He has these disconnect. Wide receivers fall out of favor, and then he makes the team go trade for his guys. Look when he first got there, he made them go sign like Randall Cobb at age
Yeah, yeah.
75, and what's his face? What's
Yeah,
the other guy?
the other dude from Green Bay, yep. And
Especially,
they even had Mike Williams at one point, I mean, it's
yeah.
just unbelievable amounts of talent and he couldn't get it done. But and no, I hear you. And I do believe that that was a big part of the problem. I just man, I think if he's that good and he's a wide receiver one, it just seems like he would have been somehow more involved and more consistent. And now that you're moving away from a heavier volume passing attack, it seems like you don't need to be paying that guy big bucks when you're not even 100% sure that he is like the be all end all for you at wide receiver. So,
See, but I really think he is. I think he's a legitimate number one. I think
okay,
he's got the
okay,
talent. He just needs a quarterback that's not going to be a petulant little child.
sure, 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 sure. I got you. Okay, so we've got about 2.5 minutes to go. How about I read off these next four that we're going to jump into, and then we'll take our 10-minute timeout and hop in and nuts and bolts talk about these guys. So at 21, you've got Atlanta, then you've got Miami, Indianapolis, and Carolina. Man, I don't know. Carolina just every time I see Carolina, I get like pissed off now. I just David Tepper has just screwed that team so bad, but that's okay. So we'll dive into these guys when we come back. Sound good, my man?
Sounds good.
All right, we're back. So 21 through 25, or 24, sorry, 21 through 24, my man. What do you think about this chunk?
So the first thing that sticks out to me here is Indy. I think this is Indy was the other team that I would put below the Giants that I mentioned earlier.
I think it's just because, man, like they pulled off 8 wins last year with garbage quarterback play. I don't know, like they must be getting some kind of boost from that, right?
Possibly. I don't like what I see in the Indy. I don't think Daniel Jones is a true. I don't think either. I think Anthony Richardson has the potential if he matures to be
I think he's a bust right now. He's got to put in some work.
I think Daniel Jones has proven that unless you have the perfect and Daniel Jones could do good here if he is the starting quarterback because they have a decent running game as long as Jonathan Taylor stays healthy.
Yeah,
Because
and he's
only
on a
year,
1 year prove it deal, so Daniel Jones knows he's got to perform if he wants to get another big contract.
yeah, but we don't know where they're going at quarterback coming into the season. We don't know if it's going to be Daniel Jones, if it's going to be Richardson. I don't think they made any. I think they lost their guard too, didn't they? I think the offensive line took a step back. Didn't they lose their guard?
Will Fries went to Minnesota. Yeah. I
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and I think
but
this
the
is
thing that
where I was looking at the last tier and thinking, I could see the Raiders being a better team than the Colts. I could see New England being a better team than the Colts. Um, and so I'm with you. I would drop them. I guess I'm just you know, it's they did find a way to get 8 wins last year, which means you drop them, but you cautiously drop them, right?
yeah, but I also think that they got the 8 wins last year in a division that had three teams that have gotten better.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, they all got better, except
Um,
maybe Indy did not.
yeah, I think they got 8 wins. Jacksonville and Tennessee theoretically got better with legit quarterback play, with new coach in Jacksonville, like on what he can do with Trevor Lawrence. I just wanted to look at like they got 8 wins. Um, they had a fairly easy schedule last year. They had a fairly easy schedule last year. Glancing at it, they beat Jacksonville. They beat Tennessee twice. Right there, there's 3 wins that could theoretically turn into losses coming in this year. They beat Miami. Miami's going to be better this year. Um, they beat New England. New England, like I don't know if they beat New England with this iteration of New England.
Sure.
I see them really taking a step back where all the other teams in the division are taking steps forward. So I would put them, if not into the bottom tier, the bottom four, the tier right above it. I don't know if I
Okay.
could go much higher than that for them.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'd probably drop them down 1 tier. What do you think about? I mean, Carolina's in here, but do you think that it was right to have Atlanta over Miami?
Oh no, not at all. I don't think this is the right tier for Miami. I think Miami is 1 to 2 tiers up.
Okay. Yeah, and I felt the same way that, if we're looking at just these four, right off the bat, I get it. People are hyping up Penix, but Miami with Tua and their running game and everything they do, they've done it. They've proven
Mm-hmm.
it. They can, the expectation is barring some kind of injury, they're going to do it again. Atlanta it's a hype train right now, which it's a very nice looking hype train, but we've seen more times than not those hype trains don't end up fucking moving, man. So
Yeah, and on a side note with Atlanta, I like what they did in the draft and actually getting edge rushers. I love
yeah,
that. We've been talking for years about them needing to get a true edge rusher, and they got a couple of them.
yeah, throw some darts at it, man. Hopefully one of them sticks.
And I think of the teams in this tier, they had the best
And
draft
I'm
and
I'm fine
took the
with
most
Atlanta
steps
in
forward.
this tier. I don't like them. I think Miami needs to be above them. And then, for me, Carolina, I'm still just not a believer in Carolina because, and I know I keep saying it, but to me it starts at the ownership and it goes all the way down. David Tepper has fucking clowned this organization. And I think it was nice that Bryce Young finally showed some signs of life last year. I don't know, dude. To me, it's just I don't know. It's just not a respectable team right now. And I feel bad for some of the coaches and the players because of that. So,
yeah. So just glancing at just back to the Atlanta note, I think I would put Atlanta up one tier.
okay.
And that's
On the
based on
hype train.
On the hype train. I think Atlanta is building a good team. I think that they're in a division that has a couple. They have Carolina, they have New Orleans in their division right there. I think they're, and then like if I look at it, like I would move Miami up 1 to 2 tiers, which would, and just on these rankings, move Atlanta down to 22. But there's 1 or 2 teams that are ahead of them that I might consider moving down.
Okay.
Below them. I have one team. So, and maybe it's right. Maybe you're right. Maybe this is the right tier. Maybe this is the right spot for them. Just glancing at it, maybe one team ahead of them, I would move below them. One team below them, I would move ahead of them. They'd end up at the same spot.
Yeah, and we can always fine tune it. I mean, obviously we're going to have our own power rankings come week 1. So we got plenty of time to like really dig into it. This is just, it's meant to be kind of just more quick. What's your knee-jerk reaction on these chunks? And so how about we go up to the next chunk? So starting at 17, we got Pittsburgh, Arizona, Seattle, and Dallas. And so what do you think about these guys, man? I'm having a hard time with the Pittsburgh thing because of Rodgers,
Exactly.
I mean, it's Tomlin's going to get him to win games, but to me, it's like if Pittsburgh was ever going to blow up with Tomlin as the coach, this is it, because Rodgers is just thick-headed and does not conform, and I don't see that is going to work with Tomlin, right? Like I think at some point Tomlin's just going to be like, "Fuck you, dude, go to the bench."
Mm-hmm. So that's the thing with Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh needs a blow up year. They need a sub 500 year to be able to get that top quarterback, and that's the only way they're going to get them.
They're going to do it with Rodgers.
Yeah. So my knee jerk reaction initially, and this is coming from me, that like initially when I look at it, I think this is a little low for Dallas. Just initial reaction. But then when I sit down and think about it, I think it's about right because of the fact that I don't trust their coach.
You're talking about Dallas now?
Yeah.
I kind of feel the
Pittsburgh
same.
Pittsburgh gets way too high. I maybe would even move Pittsburgh back a tier with what they've done this offseason. But also with Tomlin, though, it kind of pushes.
You just always got to give them some credit for Tomlin. That's the only sticking point. But yeah, with Dallas, man, they do have the talent to be higher. It's just that they every year disappoint. They had 1 year with McCarthy where they, finally won 11 games or whatever. And now here we go, new coach, and just a lot of question marks, man. And so it feels low for Dallas, but it's also, they're just unpredictable. Right.
Yeah. So it feels low with taking out the head coach aspect of it. I would say 100% this is low for Dallas, but putting in the new head coach and an unproven head coach who, yeah, he has a lot of NFL experience. He's the son of a successful head coach. He hasn't done it. And I don't know what I'm going to see out of him. I think the only reason he was hired as head coach is not because of his pedigree. It's because of the fact that Jerry Jones can control him. The other issue, and this guy brings it up. He brings it up in this article. Who's the second wide receiver for a CD Lamb?
George Pickens.
Again, who's the second wide receiver for CD Lamb?
It'll be Jake Ferguson at tight end.
Yeah, it's not not a and then at running back, who's the
Yeah, they're
number one
hoping
running back?
one of the two vets or the rookie are gonna show up.
Yeah, and there's so many questions about that. Talent wise, the defense is going to
Yeah,
be
the
good.
defense fell apart as soon as Quinn left,
Yeah,
right? And Zimmer sucked, and now I don't even know who shot. Oh, who did Schottenheimer bring in? I forgot, but yeah, there's no reason to expect the defense
I
to
was going to
be.
look that up.
Yeah, there's no reason to expect them to be top 10 again anytime soon. Basically, even though they still got Micah Parsons.
Yeah,
So,
so
and then
their
when I look at,
defensive coordinator is Eberflus. Actually, I like that.
yeah,
I actually like
I
that.
don't have a problem with Eberflus, but he's no Dan Quinn. So,
True.
all
But
right. So,
Dan Quinn wasn't with Dan Quinn. Well, I guess Seattle. So yeah, okay. And then speaking of Seattle, segueing to Seattle, it feels low for Seattle based on the division they're in.
okay, because I think for Seattle, it's a matter of, do you really think Darnold's going to have a repeat of last year in Minnesota when they have nowhere near that amount of talent on offense?
Yeah, but that is an aspect of it. That's what I was saying. It feels low, but then when I look, I think Seattle, like, and if I were to do anything, I would flip Seattle and Arizona.
Okay.
I
Yeah, and
think I think
Arizona's such a
it's
wild card too, with Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr. Um, yeah, this group is kind of perplexing for me.
yeah.
You know,
Like I think the 3, 18, 19, and 20 are about right. I
yeah, you
might
could
do
just
some minor tweaking here.
yeah,
I
you could
think
roll the dice
17's
on
too
what
high for
order.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you could roll the dice on what order for those teams. They're all kind of in that range with questions to be answered.
Yeah.
Uh,
And another
yeah,
thing with just a note on Pittsburgh is I think that they might, and this could sound weird because I just talked about them needing to blow it up. If they have another successful season, I think there's a chance that Will Howard could be the quarterback of the future because he's a poor man's Ben Roethlisberger.
okay. Well, I like hearing that.
So if he truly is, from what I'm everything I'm reading on him, everything I've seen, if he truly is a poor man's Ben Roethlisberger, Pittsburgh and Tomlin know how to use that type of quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. I'm good with that. You want to jump up a tier?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going 13. We got the Los Angeles Chargers, then Houston, San Francisco, and Chicago. I will say I was kind of glad that Chicago was down here because the last 2 years in a row, Chicago has had top 10 hype like
Mm-hmm.
crazy, and they've blown it. And I know that you look at it and you say, "Oh, Ben Johnson, all this crazy talent, the defense is getting better. This is going to be the year." That's great. That's great. It might be. We don't know. But the big thing is, you know, there was similar narratives the last two seasons, and they came so far away from even getting close to it. So I like that they were down here, and I do think that they have a shit ton of potential. It just let's make them earn it, man. That's
Yeah.
the smart thing to do.
Exactly. Chicago this year, this feels actually right about right for Chicago to me because Chicago has the potential to be a top 10 team
Yeah,
or a bottom 10 team.
yeah,
And it depends on how they perform and how Ben Johnson steps into the head coaching role. I think so that feels about right. San Francisco, San Francisco feels a tier low to me
it's
because
it's it's who are we getting? Are we getting a healthy San Francisco
yes,
or not? If Purdy and McCaffrey stay healthy, come on, they're a top 5, top 10 team. if and you got Bosa, obviously he's got to stay healthy too. If any of those guys get hurt, it's like anybody's guess, which is why they're this
Mhm.
far down, right? And so I'd
Yeah,
like to see them higher, but fuck, man, the injury bug just smokes this team like every other year, it seems like. Which I guess would mean that this is a good year for him. But
right. But
there's not predictable.
but he also points out, and this is so very true.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, the last time they had such a bad season, they turned around and went to three straight NFC Championship games.
Okay.
And I believe my issue with San Francisco, I'm not putting them in the top 10. I think they have the potential to be top 10, top 5 team, but I don't know if I trust Purdy.
I like Purdy.
I like him, but I don't know
I,
if I trust him yet.
I like him and I trust him, but I think that offense is totally different when McCaffrey is hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And and so my whole thing is I don't like Purdy as you got to carry this team quarterback. I like him as you get to be a cherry on top of this team quarterback.
Yeah, and that's a very excellent point. I'm just saying I'm hesitant. I don't think they should have paid Purdy as much as they did.
Yeah, I
And
mean
that
it's hard. You don't, the quarterback game, it's hard to not do that with these guys. But I hear what you're saying.
another team in this, the Chargers. I think it's a little tier low for the Chargers. And just on gut
Do you think
instinct
that
on it.
this is like post playoff? They crashed and burned so hard that we just dropped them down, and now they got to work their way back up. And I know we're not seeing his like playoff adjustment here. We're just seeing post draft. They haven't moved since the draft, but I got to believe they got a little ding with the way they freaking burned out in that playoff game.
Possibly, but that's also like if you look at like I trust. I hate saying this. I trust Harbaugh.
Hey, he's a
Like
damn good coach, man. He's crazy as shit, but he's a fucking good coach.
he took them to the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
They did crash and they did have
yeah,
problems protecting Herbert. That's 100% true, as you mentioned. It feels it feels like they should be a tier up because I think they're more in the middle of the playoff teams that I see this year versus the bottom.
yeah.
And Houston, I think it's right on. Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah. When I
Houston
when
team
I
are you
look
in?
at when I look at 13, 14, 15, I would like to see San Francisco higher, but it's an injury thing that you just don't know. Houston, it's like I'd like to see them higher, but when you look at who's higher, you say, oh, well, yeah, with the way Houston, things went last year, you can't put them above those teams. And then with the Chargers, it's like, I think they could be a little bit higher. Um, but I look at a lot of these teams, man. You got, yeah, I would probably put them above Cincinnati. I'd probably put them above a few of these other teams. But yeah, okay, I got you.
Since you mentioned Cincinnati,
Yeah, let's keep it
next
moving, man. Yeah.
next year, 9 through 12, or yeah, 9 through
Yep. 9,
12.
10, 11, 12.
We got Green Bay, Minnesota, Denver, Cincinnati. Like you said, I think you're right. Cincinnati is up a higher tier than they should be. I think maybe even 2 tiers. Is Cincinnati
They're
last
all
year?
offense, man.
They're
All
all
passing.
offense. They're probably going to be getting rid of Trey Hendrickson. He's so unhappy there.
Yeah.
Um, Denver feels a tier low. I think they're going to take a step forward this year, even though they are in a tough division. Minnesota feels 1 to 3 tiers high. They have a
And is
lot of
that just
talent.
because of the risk of JJ
It's 100% because of the risk of JJ McCarthy.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm with you on that.
they have a lot of talent on offense. They have a lot of talent on defense. I think they overachieved immensely last year with Sam Darnold. I think JJ
Yeah.
McCarthy, I don't know.
Yeah,
We we
can he do that? Even though Darnold was a flop before last year, McCarthy's never had an NFL game under his belt. Um, I mean, I do like that they got Aaron Jones still.
Mhm.
They can run hard and maybe take a little pressure off. And I gotta believe Kevin O'Connell knows how to put this guy in a position to succeed. Plus, the defense has just been ferocious. But McCarthy is a wild card, man. I would probably drop him down at least one tier.
Yeah, I at least one tier, possibly three. Like that's the range on them. I'm
Yeah.
like they've overachieved the last 2 years, and
Yeah, I just don't see their defense going away anytime soon. Like I couldn't drop them below, like for sure I could not drop them below San Francisco.
yeah,
I mean,
okay.
that's just my opinion.
I,
Each man is
I
entitled to his own.
I can give you that argument. I'm really
Yeah.
unsure of
Yeah,
McCarthy.
you want to see I mean, he's not a rookie, but he might as well be, right? You want to see the young
Yeah,
guy
and
do
he
something.
had a serious knee injury last year, and how's that going to affect any? He already had limited mobility. Is how's that going to affect that? Green Bay, I hate to say it, I think they're a tier low.
Yeah, they just win fucking 11 games every year like it's nobody's business, man. And so I could see
I
them
think
being a tier higher.
at a minimum they should be ahead of the Rams, probably ahead of Tampa Bay as well.
Man, yeah, I guess I'm starting to drink some of the Rams Kool-Aid this year, even though I don't like Stafford that much. I just look at how good their defense got last year without Aaron Donald. Like, I mean, it was unexpected how good Verse and those guys
Mhm.
were out of the gate that now you add Devontae Adams with what's his name, Nakua. I mean, it just oh man. I mean, I think the Rams could be in a prime spot this year. But
I think they could be, and they could be very good this year. I with Stafford, I have a hard time seeing him make it through the season. They haven't addressed their left tackle issue that they've had since Whitworth retired,
yeah.
and they haven't addressed it. They haven't addressed it, and I think eventually it's going to
Yeah, that could
bite
burn
them
them.
in the ass.
That could burn them. Yeah. And that's obviously a game changer. Stafford's not mobile, if he get in we don't have to go down the Stafford rabbit hole because I'll just start bitching left and right about him. But yeah, I
Since we
got you, man.
started talking about the Rams, do you have anything ahead in 9 through 12?
So 9 through 12, yeah, I agree. Minnesota's got to go down. I would have pushed Cincinnati down one. And then Denver, I think I'm okay with Denver here just because I've like peeked up to see who's above them. And I just it's hard for me to argue when I look at some of these teams. It's like, okay, Denver for sure could do it this year, but these other teams have already done it. So
Yeah,
it's, you
and
know,
I can understand that. I on Denver, I said I think I might consider moving them up. I haven't really peaked that high up
yeah.
to see who I would replace, but I could see this being right for Denver. I maybe even just arguing Denver's like a spot or two low, which I
I
mean
mean,
is
I'm
still
super excited to see what Denver does because they were way ahead of schedule last year. If they can build off of that, holy shit, dude, it will shake things up in the league this year.
yeah.
That's all I got for
All
that
right.
chunk.
All right. So then we have 5 through 8. And I actually hate this chunk. 5 we have the Lions. 6 we have the Commanders. 7 we have Tampa Bay. 8 we have the Rams. Really, this chunk, half of them I would move down at least one tier. Half of them I would move up a tier. Like, we kind of hit the Rams. I have concerns with the Rams. They have a chance to be really good, which probably justifies their spot in this tier, but my concerns kind of drag them down a tier. Tampa Bay, first of all, is losing their quarterback guru that did wonders for Baker Mayfield.
The whisperer.
I think Tampa Bay was a 10-win team last year.
Yeah, can they do that again without Liam Cohen there?
Exactly, and that's where my issue is. Yeah, they have the talent to do that, but I don't think at 10 wins last year they would have been justified to be in this tier. So without Liam Cohen, a year older, seeing what Baker's going to do, I don't think.
Who do you put up there? Green Bay or Denver?
Both.
Okay. Because I could comfortably drop Tampa Bay below Green Bay.
Yeah, what I would do is I would take Green Bay and Denver from the next tier down, move them up to this tier, and move Tampa Bay and the Rams down to the tier below.
I got you. Yeah, I could be okay with that. I could get on board with that. I mean, the Rams, I'm harder pressed to do that, but I'm fine with that concept. Yeah.
Then you have the Commanders. Commanders should be in the top tier. Commanders, they were a 12-win team last year, and
with a fucking rookie.
Better. With a rookie, they've only gotten better. They've only got him more targets to throw to. They're on the up. I think this is low for Washington and the Lions. While the Lions could theoretically take a small step back this year, it still doesn't justify them being outside of the top 4.
Yeah, I guess with the Lions, I'm in the posture mode of, hey, let's manage expectations because there's a lot changing. The offensive line has a lot of change. The coordinators have a lot of change. And I still think that, Dan Campbell and company are all badasses and they're going to find a way. I just think you can't expect them to repeat last year with all the change that they've had. I think they're going to take some kind of a step back. I just don't know how big it is yet. I think a lot of it's going to be based on the offensive line. To me, that's more important than the coordinators because, Ragnow leaving was a huge blow. And then, Zeitler at guard was already gone to free agency. So basically, you're taking a top 5 offensive line and you're going to put 2 rookies in there, potentially 2 rookies in there. That's dicey to me, because if that offensive line goes from, say, top 5 to borderline top 15, that completely changes the landscape for this team offensively and defensively. And so I'm the most nervous about that, I would say. But yeah, I mean, I would still, peaking up. I think because we lost to Washington and just their trajectory, it's hard for me to have them above Washington. But I could see a team from the top tier coming down below, potentially both Detroit and Washington.
I could see
basically the Chiefs. I'm not, the Chiefs are always good, but man, I'm not sure that their defense is going to be able to carry them, and they're not going to get the luck of the referees again. The referee shit. I mean, it was like 4 refs got demoted, man, because it was that bad. And so I just don't see their luck continuing like it did last year.
No, I'll give you that. Do you have anything else to hit in on these 4?
No.
I can move to that top tier.
Let's go.
All right. So top tier: Philadelphia at 1, Ravens at 2, Kansas City at 3, Buffalo at 4. First of all, I don't think Philadelphia is one.
Ooh. Reigning Super Bowl champ, and you're going to drop them?
My debate here is it the Ravens or is it Washington?
I mean, for me, I guess it's Philly until proven otherwise. And I know they did lose some guys, but to me, it's, you're the king of the castle until someone comes and knocks off that crown. Um, and so unless they lose some games right out of the bat, I keep them up at one for now. But I'm fine with that argument. I'm fine with you making your argument. That's part of it. Washington looks phenomenal. I just still I got to be careful with it because I know that they're having issues with Terry McLaurin and his contract, and Dan Quinn. He still had that huge upset against the Patriots when he was the Falcons head coach. That it's like unless he wins a Super Bowl, I'm always going to be a little bit speculative of him going the distance, right? Because that kind of thing can haunt you. Look at like what that shit has done to Shanahan, man. It's like every time he gets so close, something fucking pops in his face, and it just does not. It's hard to get that monkey off your back, man.
Yeah. So with Washington, and I was trying to look and see some reason fucking ESPN only has the wild card and divisional round games for Philadelphia on their schedule for in 2024. It doesn't have the championship game or the Super
gotcha.
So I wanted to look back and see what the final score of the championship game was, which fucking doesn't have it in Washington either. Because like my thing with Washington played Philly tough all year. And what 2024 Washington Commanders? I almost typed Redskins. So in the championship game, oh shit.
I mean, they had 3 turnovers, right? The Commanders in that game is what it looks like. So that burned them.
I didn't realize it was that bad.
55-23.
Yeah.
It's because of the turnovers, man. Washington, hypothetically, they were really good all year protecting the ball. And then, you have 3 turnovers like that, it drastically changes things. So, I mean, if you go to the December game, Commanders won 36-33.
Yeah. So where the fuck did it go? There it is. So, but the bottom 2 teams, I probably would move down. I think Kansas City is going to take a step back.
Yeah, I could move Kansas City and Buffalo down a tier. Buffalo, I think, is a dark horse because they overperformed last year, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, oh my gosh, if they could do that, they could do it again, right? But they could also regress, So I don't trust Buffalo. I don't trust Josh Allen, at least not deep in the playoffs. So
yeah. So the only reason Buffalo had such a good season last year was because Josh Allen put up ridiculous stats.
Yeah, he put the team on his shoulder. He's one of the few quarterbacks that can do that.
Right. And I don't know if he can do it a second year in a row.
They don't have enough around him. Like the defense came out of nowhere and kind of surprised, but really they're missing a lot of talent on that team compared to where they were just a couple years ago. And so I'm with you, my man.
Yeah. And this the reason why basically what he's saying that Buffalo's in the top 4 is their work isn't done, but there's no reason to think the Bills shouldn't enter training camp as one of the Super Bowl favorites, even with a wait and see approach for the defense. So you're hoping that the defense is going to be good, which is why you're putting them up here. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's because McDermott got him to overperform last year. Can he do it again? I don't know. And then, yeah, I mean, I think that some of the younger guys are going to rise up in Kansas City, but I still just think that they're going to have some headwinds because they had so many fluky wins last year that were either ref driven or just like weird play things that I just don't expect to happen again. And they were really, really not good on offense at all last year. The defense carried them, like their offense has to flip back around or they're going to be in trouble. I don't think their defense can replicate. I mean, I think they got a great defense and Spagnuolo can keep going, but asking them to replicate that again another year it's easy. It's hard to do, right? Defenses, they gyrate a lot every season.
Yeah, and I just with Kansas City.
So who do you put at the top? You put Washington up there?
No.
I can't have Baltimore at the top. If you say Baltimore, I'm gonna punch you through the screen here. Lamar just always chokes in the playoffs, man.
And that's where my struggle is on it. Like
we've seen it happen too many times.
I think Baltimore is the better team, but the team that I think has the best chance out of the two Maryland teams. Yeah, I'm calling Washington the Maryland team because they play in Maryland. They play in Landover. They don't play in D.C. I think Washington is the team that has the best opportunity to actually do something.
Okay, I got you.
So I think I put Washington. I think I would do Washington, Baltimore,
Philly, Detroit,
Philly, Detroit.
Okay. All right. Well, we're a little off on the top one, but it's not the end of the world, man. All right, we got about a minute to go. How do you want to do this? You want to shut it down? You want to take 10 and chill? What are you thinking?
I think take 10 and chill, at least for
All
a
right,
little
we'll
bit.
take 10 and chill. All right, well, I guess, that's probably the show for tonight. So anybody who's watching, hope you liked it. And, unless we decide to fire it back up when we come back on in 10 minutes. All right, I'll talk to you in a little bit, man.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut, hut, hike.